It is my privilege to introduce and reintroduce for some of you our guest today, Mr. Tony Smith. Tony began his career in the United States Army, serving over 20 years in roles that demanded the highest level of grit and precision. From a reconnaissance section leader all the way to regional recruiting operations manager, he spent over a decade mastering the art of talent acquisition and, and understanding within the military, understanding what exactly it takes to identify to develop leaders for our nation depends on. Following his distinguished military career, Tony transitioned to the private sector, and that is where he joined us and worked here at Seven Eagle Group. He led national initiatives to build out the pipeline that you all are a part of today. He pioneered the use of the DoD Skill Wedge program to achieve a staggering 98% retention rate for veteran placement, providing that military talent isn't just a good hire, it's a strategic advantage for any corporation. Today, Tony has a really cool job. He serves as the production manager at Caterpillar Inc., where he oversees high performance teams producing world class equipment that builds global infrastructure and is a truly iconic brand. He is a practitioner of lean manufacturing and Six Sigma, translating mission first mindset into operational excellence in a Fortune 100 company environment. Whether you're curious about mechanics in transition or how to leverage the skill bridge, or what a hiring manager for a massive corporation like Caterpillar is actually looking for, Tony is the ultimate resource. Tony, welcome back to Seven Eagle Group. We do greatly appreciate your time today. The floor is yours. I'll go ahead, and if you want to add to that introduction, by means, go right ahead, sir.
Thanks, Clay. Hey, welcome everybody. Sorry I had to do this from my phone just for the simple fact that Caterpillar Wi-Fi won't let me jump on the Zoom. I appreciate it. It's been a journey. It's definitely been interesting. I will say what you learn here at Seven Eagle Group, not just because I helped put it in place, but because of the fact it works, it will help you in the long run when you're seeking employment.
I love it 100%. One thing I like to do here at Connections is tell us your origin story. What led you to joining the United States Army? And then, we can talk about your transition and kind of ultimately how you ended up here at Seven Eagle before you went to Caterpillar.
Yeah, Clay, great question. So, the way I joined the Army is you couldn't be a naval fighter pilot with less than 20/20 vision. So that's how I ended up there. But joined the Army. Wasn't looking to stay long. Was going to stay 2 or 3 years, maybe four tops. Do a couple enlistments, get out, go private sector. Got in, loved it. Ended up 23 years total. Coming from that, the last probably 6 months of my career really wasn't doing a whole lot. They said I was able to, kind of just check in, go ahead and gain employment somewhere else. So I started working for Seven Eagle Group. Didn't really know what I was getting in touch with. I just knew I wanted to help veterans, and that was the easiest way to do so from where I was at in Illinois. Started working with Jordy, Tyler, Matt, the team, and started getting through it, and we started gaining traction, started placing a lot of great veterans with a lot of great companies. That 98% still kind of chaps me. I wanted that 100%, but have one or two people that end up quitting. It's fine. It's fun. I'm not sore about it at all. It's fun. Going with Seven Eagle Group, was happy there. Wasn't planning on going anywhere else. Out playing a round of golf. Just enjoying conversation with the guys that I got paired with. They ended up being talent acquisition managers at Caterpillar. Kind of talking about my experience and my history, and that I was here in Illinois, and they recruited me right there on the spot to come interview with them. Did the interview with them. They said, "Hey, we love you as a talent acquisition manager, but we got a position for a production manager that we really need filled drastically. Would you mind, interviewing, talking with them?" Talked with them, and everything just fell in place. And I have to say, I absolutely love it. Coming in every day, putting in the work, building these large wheel loaders, these huge mining trucks. It's a joy. It's awesome.
That was the interesting thing is I was looking at your background and I'm like, Caterpillar, it's such, like I said, the iconic brand. And, to get in with them, I mean, obviously it was your experience here at Seven Eagle, but what was that conversation like? You kind of glanced over it, but what was that sort of like flow through process? You obviously connected with them here. You started chatting back and forth. For those who are looking to sit there and make that connection, what was sort of like your indicators that they were interested in you?
Uh, Mainly, you're networking with everyone. Everyone you talk to on a daily basis, you're networking with. Whether it's the cashier at your local gas station, or somebody you're waiting in line behind at the grocery store, you're networking with everyone. Um, and I just like I said, I was on the golf course, just grouped with two random individuals, just chatting about my experience, what I was doing in Illinois, what I was doing for work, and it just led into said, hey, you'll be a fit for this position, and then just going through that and really just networking with them, having an honest conversation is what led me to sitting here right now.
Love it. I love it. I want to talk about, that 98% that you wanted 100. We always strive for 100% here at Seven Eagle Group. You know, when it comes down to it, you said that a couple of people quit. What is that? What did that conversation look like? And then, what was, if they made a mistake, what did they do? And, what is that mistake you often see transitioning service members make within their first 90 days that leads them to quitting or being let go?
Honestly, with the majority of veterans that I've talked to through Seven Eagle Group, through Caterpillar, uh, they come on with a misunderstanding of the caliber of people they're going to be working with, not only from other managers and the employees that they have. They just have a hard time disassociating the military from now where they work as a civilian employee. There's a lot of things that are different. The caliber of people are different, and it's just managing those expectations when you come into it. If you're coming into it expecting everything to be just like the military, you get in the same level of respect, using the same tactics you used in the military to manage civilians, it's not going to work. You have to be able to learn and adjust and adapt to your situation moving forward, because every person's going to be different. So your management and leadership styles got to be different with every person you employ. Um, so when you're talking about a team of three or four, it's easy. When you're dealing with a team of 87 like I have here, it's quite difficult because you're managing all these different personalities. Um, Also, you need to find something as a veteran that you're passionate about. If it's you want to do something in the golf industry, go do something in the golf industry. Don't worry about the pay, just worry about finding something that's going to make you happy. If you wanted to do something in manufacturing or production, or you just want to work for Caterpillar as a whole, go into it with zero expectations and go into it wanting to be successful. If you're wanting to be successful over everything else, it'll all fall in place for you.
I love that. I love that 100% because it does sort of talk about, especially your transition, that you have to leave that ego behind and you got to leave that you got to shift your identity. It's you no longer have your rank on your chest. You're trying to influence that authority versus, hey, go do it and go do it right now. So I do want to talk about Caterpillar because again, I was just like,
Okay.
you're here, this is really cool, and you build the coolest toys on the planet, at least from my perspective. In the manufacturing world and in logistics and building stuff, we hear a lot of lean and Six Sigma and stuff like that. How much of that is just civilian speak for things you already did in the military, like pre-combat checks or AARs, PMCS and things like that? And how did you go after it to set yourself up for success at Caterpillar?
So a lot of it we use is we call it different names. We call it lean manufacturing. We call it, quality audits, but it's what we're used to in the military. We're used to developing and pushing out a quality product, whether you're a mechanic, supply and logistics, you're pushing out a quality product. Do the same thing here. It's just on a much bigger scale. So with that being said, is coming in and using that experience that you had, your past experience from the military, and matching that to what you do here. The terms are different, the people are different, but the quality is the same. So you're looking for that same quality, you're looking for that same quality buy-in, and you're going through and you're just making sure on a daily basis, you're making sure that everybody's here doing their job to 100% of their ability every day. Um, and that's mainly what we've done in the military our entire careers. So you're just transitioning that from the military to a civilian employer.
I love it. I love it. I do want to get into a day in the life of you as, a production manager and what you do on a daily basis and kind of educate us. Like, what is the day in the life for you? Are you working specifically on one product line or are you working through multiple product lines? Tell us your day to day and week to week for us.
Yeah, absolutely. So day to day, we work shift schedules here. We have three different shifts here at Caterpillar in Decatur. My shift is first shift. We work 6 a.m. to 2. Coming in, we provide products for large wheel loaders. Those are the ones that you see that tires are 10 foot tall. That's mainly for mining operations. And then we also do compactors, which is a little bit smaller version than that. And we provide engines, lift arms, cylinders, essentially all the pieces that get put together to make the entire truck. Our day comes in. I come in as a manager. I can't break the whole military thing. I'm here an hour early. I'm doing admin and I'm getting ready to do our start of shift or our mission brief, if you will. Once we finish that, everybody goes to work in their individual areas, and then it's my responsibility to go through, make sure we have all the parts we need, all our our kit carts are put together with all our pieces that we need to build, and making sure all that logistically as at they're ready, so they're not being hindered by another department's slowdowns, and that we can push our product up to the next level and get everything moving smoothly.
Do you generally like when you're doing builds and you have your build quotas and everything like that? Are you doing a lot of just pre-positioning and getting ready and forecasting off of stuff, or are you doing stuff like what Boeing does, which is just in time implementation and collecting that info? Sorry, my coffee has not kicked in. I apologize. Are you doing just in time replenishment for the builds?
We are not. We
Okay,
actually run with a buffer to
nice.
ensure that if there's any of those other slowdowns in different departments, that we're covered on our end. So we run with a buffer depending on what product we're pushing out, whether it's an engine, implement pumps, or just lift arms. We have a specific buffer that we maintain just in case we have personnel shortages, we have part shortages. um, we just have, we have fork trucks that go down all the time. We have a fork truck that's down, then we still have that buffer that we're not going to hinder anything on the back end.
I love it. I love it. That's the big thing. A lot of people get confused about manufacturing is like, how do you actually sit there and get the pieces all together to sit there and put it through. Obviously, your military experience really does help you with that growth and with that opportunity. But also, what was when you were here at Seven Eagle? What also got you set up for that success? To do what you're doing right now. I mean, it's just absolutely fascinating, and I love this sort of stuff. I live in Colorado, so I
Hmm.
do see your product all over the place, whether it be home construction or up in the mines and those big loaders. Oh
Hmm.
yeah, those things are
Yeah,
impressive.
yeah, those big loaders is what we build every day. So what really set me up with Seven Eagle Group moving forward, and it's what everyone needs to make sure you pay attention specifically to this class during your Seven Eagle Academy. I would say more than any other, and that's sales. You have to be able to sell yourself in the interview, or you're never going to get the job offer. That's the biggest thing. When you go through and you're talking, you're interviewing, you're selling yourself to the company. So if you can't specifically break down how your leadership and management experience translates from the Army to your new position and the job description that you applied for, it's not going to do you any good. So go through, do your peer-to-peer interviews, do mock interviews, go through, learn how to sell yourself so you make sure that when you land the interview, that you're walking out of there and you know that everybody that interviewed you has only one question, and that's when can he start? When can she start?
That's, all right. You actually kind of, pivoted onto, something I was going to ask you about, you know, you on your LinkedIn profile, and now everyone sees it because I just dropped it in the chat, lists, deal closures and cold calling and things like that as skills. For veterans who feel uncomfortable selling themselves, what's the best advice that you have for them?
Practice, practice, practice. We're going to talk about practice. Mainly it's because in your life throughout, whether it's a job interview, whether it's, talking about, going into the next step and growing in your current career, you're going to need some type of sales skills. Um, or you have to brief it as well. So you have to go through, and just like every day, I have to do an end of day brief to my boss and his boss every day on where we sit, what our buffers look like, any issues that we have. If you're uncomfortable talking in front of people, that is one thing I would probably put on the personal development stack, put it up on top. That way you can start breaking those molds and breaking that cycle, because you're going to need it in the long run.
I love that. I love, yeah, that's absolutely perfect. Like what, it's practice, 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 everything like that. When you get those reps in, a lot of people also are hesitant to asking for feedback on those interviews. I personally always ask for feedback on interviews if something changes. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. How important is that for sure? So you can get that and refine your approaches. Because 9 times out of 10, from when I see it, it's basically, no, we just went with a candidate who's more better aligned. But, what is some phrasing that you might be able to get that information out of? What is some of that? You get what I'm saying? How do you sit there and extract that information, make yourself sharper?
So mainly when you go through, you want to start getting through and getting the feedback in the interview process. So in the interview process, when they say, "Hey, what questions do you have for us?" If any of you say, "Oh, I ain't got nothing," then you might as well get put on the bottom of the pile. One thing that I've always coached people, and I use myself, is I sit there and say, "Hey, let's go through here. You hire me today, looking 1 year, looking back, what are the skills that I need to establish at that my first year here, that you can look back and say, hey, that was a great hire." And then they go through and they'll tell you what they're looking for. And then you say, oh, okay, yeah, hey, I have all that. Just a little refresher, what we talked about earlier. I have this, and this, and I have this experience to back it up. So using that, going through, starting the feedback loop soon, and then going through and say, okay, hey, it was great talking with you. Hey, if you feel the interview went really, really well, ask them, hey, so when's my first day? With a little smile on your face, a little smirk, be like, hey, so when do I start? It shows that confidence that you're there, and it goes right along with the selling yourself. You have to have confidence. You have to have enthusiasm when you're going through it. If you don't, you're just another interview for them. Make it memorable for them as well. You'll be more likely to get any position you apply for.
I love it. I love it. Let's kind of pivot, just pivot back to Caterpillar real
Yeah.
quickly. As a production manager, as a hiring manager, when you see a resume with 10 years of military service on it, what's the one thing that you are clearly looking for to prove that they can handle a civilian multi-million dollar P&L statement and really the functionality of the entire organization?
Mainly for management, you're looking for they have to have a degree. So if you're one of those veterans like I was, that you're just a couple classes short finishing your degree, get it finished. The second thing they're looking for is how well you can translate the experience you have into the verbiage they use on a job description. The verbiage they use on the job description is very, very important. If they list lean manufacturing, they want to see lean manufacturing on your resume somewhere. If they list project management, they want to see it. If they list, hey, you're able to supervise for long hours, whatever they list on that job description, it should be on your resume somewhere. And then you need to be able to talk it when you get in front of them as well, with not only your experience, but quantifiable data from that experience.
Perfect. I like that. And then, you lead with a zero incident mindset at Caterpillar. How does military safety culture different from corporate safety culture? And how do you use that? Let's say someone wants to come work at Caterpillar from this cohort as a selling point.
So as a selling point, it's in the military, we constantly are like, hey, safety, 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 safety. We're bringing everybody home with us every day. We do the same thing here. Except for the only thing we do different here is we deal with a lot of safety incidents that you wouldn't typically have in the military, just because once again the caliber of people. So it's stressing the importance of safety to every individual every day, multiple times a day. It's leading by example and showing everybody on a daily basis that safety is your number one priority.
I love it. I love it. All right, guys. Well, you have, a Seven Eagle, former Seven Eagle that's sitting in the hangar now. He's working for Caterpillar, who's got questions for Tony. You got a guy who used to have basically my job, and now he's, out in the civilian world. So who has questions for Tony? Let's not be afraid. I historically have a few that like to sit there and ask questions.
Hey Tony, how you
Let's
doing
hear
today?
them. I got all the questions. Doing all right. How are you?
Living the dream, man. Hey, so I'm assuming transition from the army to Caterpillar was like a one-to-one transition. What's probably your favorite part about being in Caterpillar compared to the military?
The fact that I don't have to shave every day. Um, that's one of them. No, so it's just every day is a new problem to solve. No problem here is the same problem. So it's the problem solving, it's the logistics side of it. And honestly, it's coming into work every day, and you walk past our finished product every morning and get reminded of what we produce every day. And then the fact that you see at the end of the year, you see what all your hard work ended up, and you see, how much the company made in this quarter alone, specifically because you were making changes that helped the company grow as a whole. So that's majority of it.
What's your favorite thing that you work on at Caterpillar? Like, of all the finished products you work on.
Well, it's our 994. It's the biggest large wheel loader on the planet. The tires alone are 10 and a half feet tall. And not only do once we get to work on it, I'll I'll take some time throughout the day and just be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna go drive one around for a while. And then just getting able to go out on a lunch break and drive around a $6.5 million piece of equipment. It's a blast.
That
Are
that
those
is
Hmm?
sorry, go ahead, Matthias. My apologies.
Are those like air pressure tires or like just pure solid tires?
No, they're air pressure tires.
What's the air pressure for those? So I assume it has to be pretty high.
I'm not 100% sure what the air pressure is because I don't deal with that. But there's those big puppies right there.
And
That's what
guys,
we
that's a
produce on a
normal
daily
size human
basis.
being. That's a normal size human being. Like, look how big that thing is. And Tony is responsible for building this thing. Holy moly. Look at that thing. I don't care. I would quit my career right now if I could sit there and just drive around in that all day long. That would just be awesome.
Well, come to Decatur, Illinois, and we'll put you in one today.
You know what? I am going to cruise. If you're making the offer, I will cruise out there and we will, yeah. But anyways, I apologize. Mateus, I kind of cut you off. Do you have any other questions for Tony?
No, that'll be all. Thank you, Tony.
All right. Manufacturing is one of the big things that's a push here, obviously, with the current administration. For those who don't sit there and see it, they see it as sort of like I'm turning wrenches and stuff like that. Like, how fulfilling is it that you actually are building a true American product and bringing it and helping continue to grow the American infrastructure? And I am going to stop my question. Olivia B, go right ahead, please.
Hey, good morning, Tony. Sorry I don't have my camera on. I am driving, but I am paying attention. I can multitask. But you talked about the earlier about the persons um, who are no longer with Caterpillar because of whatever their mindset. How
Hmm.
were you part of the interview process? And like, how did they interview? Because it's about selling yourself. So I'm I'm under the mindset that perhaps there were signs in that interview that will indicate that they may not be a good fit. I just want to know how they probably did or potentially did, if you are aware of how they did in the interview.
So I'm not aware of how they did in the interview. I can tell you on the back end, once employed, that the majority of it was problem solving issues and stress management. Um, Manufacturing, civilian jobs, any job you have is going to be stressful, and it's a different type of stress than what we're used to coming from the military. Um, because it's one of those things you can only affect so much on a daily basis. So being able to manage your stress properly was one of the major indicators on some of the people that didn't stay.
Okay, awesome. Second question. So,
Mhm.
in your military career, what do you think was most transferable to what you're currently doing? Or is it just a different scope? You just using your leadership skills, the soft skills that you earned in the military?
Honestly, it's the leadership side of leading different folks from different parts of the country, being able to experience that demographical leadership that we're so used to in the army, that we come out in the civilian world and you can jump right in and you can lead anybody. And then it's just showing them that not only can you manage all their personal issues, all the business issues, you also can get in there and you don't mind getting dirty and getting your hands dirty, getting the job done because they're behind. You're willing to do so and not just sit back and bark orders.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony.
Welcome.
That is an important thing, and you just brought up something that do you only deal with the people that are on site, or are you overseeing other production lines in other states?
No, I only deal with people on site here in Decatur, Illinois.
Okay, all right. Is that something that Caterpillar does? Is there somebody who does oversee different sites for different things, or is it all in Illinois?
No, it's all over the place. We're a truly international company. We have manufacturing not only here in the United States, Australia, Mexico, Germany, China, India. I think that's a majority of them. And then so like the cabs for these giant large wheel loaders, they're a product that's manufactured in Mexico. So there's section managers that are down there that are experiencing and running the same thing I am. So any of our parts that are coming from internationally or coming from different suppliers, we have those supplier quality liaisons at each facility that can go through, and if we have any supplier issue parts that we need, any issues with the actual quality that we're getting, we have somebody we can reach out to that can talk with that supplier and get it fixed for us.
That's got to be something that's incredibly stressful when you got to sit there and have that conversation with the supplier that a QC check has failed, and therefore, that piece is going to not be a part of it. Jared, give me 2 seconds here. Let me just finish my thought here. And then Ashley, oh, there you are, Ashley. You're usually question number one for me. What sort of, that's got to be a very relationship built conversation you got to have. So what does that look like, and how often, what does that conversation look like when you're dealing with somebody who's not technically your employee, you are their client, but on the other hand, you need to have that partnership?
It's once again, it comes to sales and it comes to people, just people issues, and having that professional development that you can have a conversation that say that you're, I wouldn't say, yelling at them. You're not, cursing at them. You're having a stern conversation, but in a conversational tone set, just reiterating the importance of the quality that you're bringing in. Um, we don't have a lot of supplier quality issues. I mean, the majority of the issues we come, and especially from stuff that's manufactured overseas, is just waiting for it to get through customs and get through the border. Um, I'm waiting on 4 cabs right now that are still stuck in customs. They were supposed to be here today, but they're delayed. So it's just having those buffers is what allow you to deal with all these issues without getting overly stressed about it and making mistakes because you've ran into an issue.
Perfect. Love it. Jared and then Ashley, go ahead.
Hi, Tony. I just want to appreciate you coming in here and talking with us and hanging out with us. It's always nice to have a Seven Eagle alumni come in here and talk to us, connection students, foundation students, and everything. So, but quick question. I know you harped on like safety and stay being accounted for and everything. How I believe all organizations should practice safety. So how do you balance the production demands with like maintaining Caterpillar safety standards, especially like if you're during peak demand or tight deadlines or something?
Yeah, great question. So the way we do it is at our start of shift meetings every morning, essentially our mission briefs for the day. We go over our top priorities. And for my team, our top priorities is safety first, people always, and then making sure we're cleaning up around our areas, because a lot of these safety concerns and issues come from people leaving, tools on the floor, stuff's not sitting right where it's supposed to be, so people are tripping over it. And then you go through where we want quality, because it's a lot faster to do it right the first time than to rework it. And then just our velocity, making sure that we're going through and building at the pace that we need to hit our plan. And then, of course, with that planning piece, it's planning to build a little bit more than we need, just to, take out the buffer for, the stuff that happens, quality issues, supplier issues, shipping issues, parts issues. We pre-build that into your plan, so you know what you need every day to make sure that you hit your goals for the month and the quarter.
Cool. Thank you.
Mhm.
Ashley?
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Tony, for coming out and speaking to us. It is great to hear that an alumni is making it really well and is doing very well with everything that you have learned from Seven Eagles. And I myself could say that I have learned a lot from Seven Eagle. My question is, what are some of the things that took you a while to get used to, from transferring from the military to getting hired in the civilian side?
Probably leaving and stepping away from that NCO mindset. That NCO mindset kind of sticks with you for a while, and getting away from that and learning that not everything is something that needs to be discussed in an elevated tone of voice. Going through there and, having a conversation with somebody, I call it the disappointed dad talk. And just learning that that's the better way to deal with people, instead of, yelling and screaming and, just demanding that they get it done now. It's walking each employee down the road to where they come up with the idea that you want them to do. They're more likely to do it just because of the simple fact it was their idea.
All right. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
I want to talk real quick because, like, I find what you do fascinating. When it comes down to, career fields, MOSs, things like that, what sort of, historical military career fields could get somebody into something like you're doing on a day-to-day basis, Tony, or, maybe something else within the Caterpillar organization? Because it's recession proof. You're still building, you're still growing, you're still doing all this stuff. So, what would somebody historically from a career field look like to get into being a production manager?
Yeah, mainly leadership. When it came down to, becoming a production manager, they didn't care, what specifically I was trained to do in the military. They wanted to know how I was able to manage people, handle stress, um, and go through and, handle situations that were out of our control, decision making. That's what they're looking for, rather than, hey, specifically, I was a mechanic. I did, this for the military. Those mechanical skills will transfer, but it's not specifically what they're looking for. They're looking for, the leadership, the ability of proven management. That's what they're looking for.
I love it. So it's not a particular career field. It's, getting up there and, really just showcasing and demonstrating that. The one thing I do want to talk about, because mentorship is a very big thing for me here at Seven Eagle, and we do work very diligently, as you know, because you were here, to mentor our transitioning service members. Who was the first person you called when you left the Army, and why was having that civilian battle buddy critical for you in that transition, and why is that super critical for everyone who's on this call today?
Having that mentor that's already made the transition, either retirement or just transitioned out, having that's I like to call your no BS buffer. They go through and you can ask them questions, and they're not going to hold anything back. They're going to look at your resume. They're going to look at interviews. They're going to talk with you and be like, hey, this is what you need to fix, this, and this. And they're not going to worry about if it hurts your feelings or not. They're worried about giving you the correct information that's going to make you successful. So, having that mentor going through it, you want a mentor that's going to help you through it, but also be 100% honest with you all the time. And that's what my mentors have always done with me, is making sure they don't really care if they hurt my feelings or not. They're going to give me the cold, honest truth every time I call them, no matter what. And that's what you need in a mentor.
I love it. Was it so somebody who had who already transitioned? Do you maybe have a mentor who never served that also you leave in your I was about to say Rolodex, I'm dating myself, in your contacts list, as well, to sit there and give you that advice?
Yeah, absolutely. And then also that's, the first thing I did here at Caterpillar is, at first you get started, you go through orientation, And then you go and you start picking 2 or 3 mentors of, people that can assist you along the way to meet your long-term goals. You start getting those mentors, you meet with them, say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. This is where I'm trying to go. This is where I'm at. I'm trying to be the best production manager you've ever seen. So, this next promotion, I don't have to apply for it. You just come tap me on the shoulder and be like, hey, you start over there Monday. And that's how you lay it out to your employer, to your mentors, to get that guidance you need. Is how do I be the best you've ever seen at my current job? And that's going to move you up the ranks faster than anything.
I love that. I have a follow-up question, but one of my mentors just decided to come crashing into Connections. The man himself, Mr. Tyler Grant, CEO of Seven Eagle Group. Good morning, Ty. And what do you have for Tony?
Morning, Clay, and I don't deserve that intro. I just wanted to pop on because I saw a face on the calendar that I had to chat with really quick. First of all, Tony, thanks, bro, for coming back. I appreciate you coming and helping out. It means a lot, man. But I have a question for you. So I think I'm not the only person on this call that has looked at a job board, looked at a job posting, and you see the wall of text and you just get imposter syndrome instantly. Like, I don't know if I'm qualified for that. That looks like it's too hard. I might be able to land the job, but I might get fired within the first month. How do you overcome that imposter syndrome? Or, for the folks on this call that might be dealing with the same thing, what advice do you give them?
So the advice that I give you is you need to do some self-reflection, because a lot of these words on these job boards, a lot of the requirements and the preferred requirements they're looking for, you've done it. It's just called something else. So doing that self-reflection, and then if you haven't done it, study up on how to do it. Nothing's impossible. I've never worked in any type of manufacturing production ever. I come in here and I'm killing it from day one. It's just managing people and learning as you go. And 100%, the easiest way to not get fired if you don't know what you're doing is raise your hand and say, I do not know what I'm doing. And that right there, they're going to stop. They're going to be like, okay, let's train you to do this, and then we'll move forward. Just having that self-awareness to know what you have done, whether it's called the same thing or not, and then being able to raise your hand and say, hey, I don't know this. They'll train you so you do know that.
Yeah. What about, I'll just do a quick follow on and then I'll pass it back over to Clay. But so when you looked at the role at Caterpillar, I'm sure it was like wall of text. I'm sure it had a lot of daunting stuff on there that probably your confidence is high, so it probably wasn't an issue. But where the rubber meets the road, how did those like daunting like requirements and preferred qualifications, stuff like that, how do they play out now that you've been working there for a while? Like, did it seem like they're easier than what you thought they were going to be, or you're more capable than you thought you were going to be?
Yeah, 100%. It's always the text, and the job description always seems daunting. Especially when you wake up your first day and you're driving in and you're like, wow, do I really have what it takes for this? Don't let any of that stuff scare you. It's not as hard as it sounds. Just like when we all look back when we first came in the military, we're like, oh my, I'm going to die. This is going to be horrible. And then you get in, you serve 3-4 years, 20 years, and you're like, oh, well, this is easy the whole time. So just going through there, don't judge a book by its cover. Apply for the position. The majority of the time, it's not going to be as hard as you think it is. There are going to be some challenges, yes, but it's not going to be hard.
That's a really good point, because if you go look at your career field, your MOS, your AFSC, whatever it is, if you go look at that description now, you'd probably be like, holy crap, that's daunting. I don't know if I'm qualified to do that. But your military branch brought you in and they taught you how to do it. So I guess what you're saying, Tony, is companies do the same thing. Like they understand there's going to be a little bit of skill gap there, and they're going to have to upskill you.
100%. I'd say probably 90% of the time they're hiring you military for your leadership and your management experience, not what you know knowledge-wise. They already know there's going to be a knowledge gap because you haven't worked at a company. So they're hiring you for your leadership. So let your leadership shine.
Yeah. Yeah, I really appreciate it, man. I appreciate you coming in and joining us. Just for the 99 on the call right now, take advantage. We got about 15 more minutes with Tony. He's going to get back to all the big things he's doing. So take advantage, throw your hand up, ask him a question. He's been in this space, as you guys might have heard already. So he's really familiar with the transition and has a plethora of information for you guys. So take advantage of it. But I'll pass it back to you, Clay. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks, Ty. It's always
Yep.
a pleasure, for you to sit there and come into connections. It's always fun for sure. I want to go back to the mentorship real quick, Tony, because the one thing that I'm a person.
Still got me.
Good. Can you hear us? Hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Going back to mentorship. Obviously, there's senior level mentors and there's obviously peer mentors. The one thing that I'm a big fan of is subordinate mentors. And there's a few here on the call that, even though they don't see it, they help me be better because they're giving me that direct feedback. How often are you leveraging your subordinate mentors, especially within your first 30, 60, 90 days, being that, we're all military, we're all prior service. Most of us are transitioning now. We've always heard those stories of the brand new second lieutenant talking to the platoon sergeant on what it's like. What is it like having those conversations with like a subordinate mentor with you?
Yeah, having that conversation on a daily basis is just realizing that I'm no longer the subject matter expert. They're the subject matter expert that does it on a daily basis. And they're looking for your guidance and mentorship as well as you look for theirs. On a daily basis, I couldn't tell you, what our exhaust manifold looks like on, the different models from a 992 to a 994 to a 988. I can't tell you the difference because they all look the same. But I have employees that can take one look at it and they're like, yep, that's that one, that's that one, that's that one, then that's that one. And it's just leveraging their knowledge with your experience and, helping each other that way, that's going to make the best out of it.
I love it. I do want to talk about long-term career growth with everyone here in our last couple of minutes. And this was something that was spoken about yesterday. You have a degree in marketing, but you work in production.
Correct.
And you have a background in veteran success.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite clear that degrees to the job title sometimes are checking the box, sometimes they're not. What is your thought on, obviously you said to get into certain roles at Caterpillar, you need to have a degree, but how important is it if we're not looking at Caterpillar, we're looking at something else, does it need to match 100% or is it just the check in the box enough from your perspective?
From my perspective, unless it's a STEM degree, unless you're going in something medical, IT related, engineer related, the majority of the time your degree shows them that you were able to show up somewhere for 4 years, do relatively good, complete things on time, and it shows your pattern of you getting stuff done. So the degree 100% doesn't matter all the time. There will be certain times that the degree they want specifically this degree or this degree or this degree. But it'll be listed in the job description. As long as it says equivalent degree or experience, apply for it. Because you never know whether they're going to say, yep, this degree counts or this degree doesn't count. You might as well take the shot. The best thing they can, or the worst thing they can do is tell you no.
I love it. I love it. Let's talk about continuous improvement because that's where a lot of people have some struggles. And I see that in my particular career field. You've moved through several high level roles in a short period of time. What are those indicators that it's time for you to move on? And what are those indicators that it's time for you just to stay put and continue the charge of where you're at right now? Like what are those indications for you? So when everyone here from Ashley all the way to Billy, Brent, and James, and everyone else get that aha moment so they can be forward facing in their civilian careers?
So definitely, it's a place to say if there's a plan. If there's a plan for growth throughout the company with your specific growth, if there's a detailed plan of what you're trying to do, and your mentors are pushing you to go through that, absolutely stay. It's going to be worth it in the long run. If you come in every day and you're asking your boss and you're like, hey, what's the plan for my growth? What does my career track look like? And if they can't explain it, or there's no plan, that might be a time you need to sit down and look, is this something I want to do for the rest of my life? Or do I want to go work at a place that there's growth and I can grow with the company? Um, and then also, it also depends on how you feel every day coming into work and leaving work. If you're showing up in the morning and you are just dreading walking in the door, dreading clocking in, dreading anything about the day, it's time to do some self thinking, kind of sit down, see, is this somewhere I feel myself staying, or do I need to start looking for a different career?
Perfect. So it's just having that, when you start having that self doubt,
Hmm.
remember that, guys. We talked about that yesterday with Jordy. Here's Tony, former Seven Eagle employee, now sitting there building giant machines. There's your flag. One of my last formalized questions I have for you, brother, is going to be, you've seen transition from every single angle. What is the one thing you wish someone had told you on your last day, on your final, out processing appointment? What was that one little piece of advice that someone sat there and told you? And I say that because I had a conversation with somebody who's going to have to fly back to Germany in a couple of weeks to do exactly that.
So, probably one thing that no one really told me, but you just kind of learn the hard way. No one can take your service away from you. That's what you did for 3, 4, 5, 20 years, whatever you've done. That no one can take that away from you. What I would suggest, though, is you take all that service, you put it in your back pocket, and you let your leadership and your experience lead the way for you. You don't talk about, oh, when I was in the military, or when I was in the military. It's just a lot of red flags to your employer, to the people you're interviewing, that, hey, this person can't let go. So just taking your time, taking your military experience, putting in your back pocket as, icing on the cake, rather than, just saying, hey, this is the way we did it in the military. This is the way I've always done it. This is it. Military, military, military. You're going to lose a lot of people when you go through there and you continually to classify everything as, hey, this is military way of doing it. They're just they're going to lose buy-in, and it's not going to help you in the long run.
I love it. Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. All right. So that's kind of sort of the end of my questions. So, who has, again, you have a fantastic resource out there right in front of us right now. Who has questions? Tony has been there, done that. And again, he works for one of the most remarkable companies here in the United States. Let's have some questions. Fire away. Going once. Whoop. Mr. Wynn, why did I have a feeling that you were going to ask a question? Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Tony. I have a question. There's a lot of company. Why you choose a Caterpillar instead of a lot of company?
So I wouldn't say I necessarily chose Caterpillar. I was the definition of recruited. Just for the simple fact that, like I said, I wasn't looking for a new job. I was playing around the golf, and then it just how happened to be I was paired with a couple of the recruiters for Caterpillar. They heard my experience. They're like, "Hey, you're gonna come interview for this role," and then it kind of went down from there. My thing is, with every veteran that's looking for employment, going through the Seven Eagle process, look at every company that wherever you want to live. If you want to live in Illinois, or you want to live in Charlotte, North Carolina, or you want to live in Texas, look at where you want to live. Bypass some of the bigger companies and start looking at the medium-sized companies and the smaller companies, because those are the ones you're going to get there and you're going to absolutely love it.
I love it. And Olivia, you and Trenton really have hit the nail on the head. If you continue to use your military service as a crutch, that's exactly how they feel when speaking, to you. So again, leveraging it, but don't ever really use it as a crutch. David, go ahead, sir.
Hey, Tony, how goes it today?
It's going.
Good. On your transition out, some of your hiccups that you experienced when you were doing all your VA appointments and whatnot, waiting for the job, were you actively seeking, or were you just kind of just kind of going with the flow, kind of looking, waiting for something to come, fall into your lap?
So my transition was a little bit different than what you guys are going through, because I was already working with Seven Eagle Group, so I wasn't really looking for anything specifically. The thing I can suggest to everyone here is go through every day. You need to wake up. You need to network, 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 network. You need to connect with as much people on LinkedIn and in person daily to go through and grow your network. So it's not you just applying for jobs, it's people know you're looking and people are looking for you. So not only you have to go and are you applying, if your buddy works at whatever company, they work at Boeing, and just say, hey, oh, he's looking for a job, let me refer him to this, and then bring them in. And it's a better way to get to the interview process.
No, I appreciate that. And, I'm down here in Houston looking at some of the options over there with Caterpillar. And, what you say just resonates. I'm in my last month before I'm off of Skill Bridge, many interviews, but I mean,
Mhm.
it's creating that new identity, shedding your old skin, putting your new big boy pants on. So I appreciate everything, Tony. And I
Yeah,
reached out to you on LinkedIn as well, but thank you for coming on. Thank you.
no problem.
All right, there you go. Yeah. So you got Illinois, like where are the other locations across the country if people are interested, Tony?
So you're looking at Houston, Victoria, Seguin, Schertz, Irwin, Midland, and Texas. Oklahoma City. You have some in Missouri. You have Colorado, Virginia, Illinois, Georgia, Florida. There's a Caterpillar location almost everywhere.
Love it. And then obviously you said, yep, Michelle, yeah, you and I both sat there and got these swirly eyes on that. Any recommendations if anyone wants to pursue a career with Caterpillar? Anything that they should be saying that will get their aha attention, or just be your authentic self and go for it?
Just when you're applying, make sure that you double and triple check your resume with what the job description requires. Make sure that verbiage is the same. You're using the keywords out of the job description, on your resume, and pushing it through to make sure that you're putting your best self forward.
I love it. 100%. All right, we got 30 seconds left. You probably have something you got to be doing other than chatting with us. Tony, it was nice to meet you. Nice to chat with you today. It's a privilege to talk to a former Seven Eagle employee and now working for really the organization that's the backbone of America, building all these fantastic tools. So let's give Tony Smith from Caterpillar and a Seven Eagle alum a round of applause. Thank you very much. It's fantastic. We appreciate you, Tony. Have a great rest of your day. We'll definitely be following up with you, brother.
All right, have a great day.
Thanks, Tone. Appreciate you, brother. See you later.
No problem, Tyler.
I miss that guy. Damn Caterpillar stolen from me off the golf course.
That was an
That's the way it
interest.
goes
That's
sometimes.
yeah. That must have been a really interesting conversation. Hey, you want to come to Caterpillar? What?
Yeah. Obviously, we weren't keeping him busy enough if he was on the golf course.
Hey Ben, are you in here?
I am.
Awesome. Well, hey everybody. So that last session went right to the wire. So we're gonna move right into our next one. We'll give it a second for the record. I don't even know if the recording ever stopped. So we'll just keep moving. Our next speaker today is Ben Bang.